How are we all doing?
Hey, hey, how are y'all doing? Another.
Hey, I see hands up. Nine, can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear. Can you hear me?
Either I've been rugged or you've been rugged. I'm gonna put my coin on you
Hmm.
being rugged.
Maybe I've been rugged. If you guys can hear
I'm
me,
just
can
gonna check the
you
chat,
message?
see if anyone, my voice is coming through. Yep, nine, I think it is you, so we can't hear you, buddy.
Interesting.
But that's okay. We'll continue and then,
What? So odd.
as usual, yeah, for those who haven't been to one of these before, it's very transparent chats, open. We've collected questions earlier this week. We're going to be going through those pre-recorded ones, not pre-recorded ones, but pre-asked questions. And then, if anybody would like to come up on stage and to have a chat, ask some questions that you're curious about that haven't been answered, definitely feel free to. Feel free to request. From now almost, and we can just see those and then bring up as soon as it's time. Um, and I can hear you in the background now,
You
so
can hear me?
yeah.
Ah, perfect. Nice.
All right. I say I was going to have to go a cappella myself on this one.
Yeah. No, pretty much what you recapped, Ash. We're just going to be going through some questions that were asked in the AMA channel,
Hmm.
and then bring up some community members at the end. I like how there's that little Discord uh, chat now in the AMA on the right hand side. I don't know if that was always there actually, but we usually use
Oh,
community.
hey, that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we can use that to see community questions. Cool. I guess we'll.
Hey,
Oh, they could hear me. I don't know. That was weird because you couldn't. That was. I'm not sure what happened there actually.
maybe I was just messing up. All right, so getting into it, most important question off the bat, are tacos sandwiches?
uh, are they? I'll say yes. They are.
Agreed. All right, great. Discord AMA over.
I see.
The next question. Um, no, so in all seriousness, let's start off. So, will raw points be transferable person to person? Um,
Yeah. So
Interesting question. Hey, I mean,
yeah, I think that's something we've thought about as well. Um, Personally, I do think it's a bit of a cool feature. Um, it's not something that we have included in the raw program right now, Rewards 3.0. But I do like the idea of later down the line we could have like a Discord command where people can send over their points if they want to. But personally, I'd be trying to hoard my points, but that's just me.
yeah, I wouldn't want to be giving away points as well, unless the person asking this question is coming from like a sneaky way to try and persuade other people to give up their points.
Yeah,
Um,
try and lure them in.
yeah, I mean, a bit of background on this as well, right? Raw points was actually an idea suggested from the community a while back. Um, we thought it was a great idea, right? And it basically stemmed from, okay, like the raw token,
Mm.
we don't necessarily want to release that right now because that's not going to give, yeah, that's, there are better ways to release that, in different times and stages of the market. And so, the question then is, well, how do we reward, loyal community members from now? Right? And without necessarily having that token released, and then you're obviously dealing with all the other parts of that come with it. So it was like, okay, how do we give like almost a token that isn't an ERC20 token that's tradable and all those kind of things, but you can still start accumulating those points from now. And so that was the idea of raw points, right? And it's got a couple other uses as well that we'll talk, we'll share about when the time is right. But essentially, these raw points will convert to raw token later on.
Mm.
Um, so, with keeping that in mind, and obviously like the importance of raw token, don't know if anybody would really want to give away their those raw points. But like Ryan mentioned, yeah, it's not in the in any of the user stories or for this release, but it potentially could be something for future as well if it's something the community really really wants and has a good use case for it. will
Yeah.
work for role points.
I always think about that gamer channel. I don't know, it always comes to mind. People just used to go in there and just, claim their points, even though they didn't know what they were going to be used for. It was just a funny thing, and I never wanted to remove that channel actually because people would go in there daily. I was just, yeah, that was just nostalgia back in the days. Um, so the next question is from Snowbiz Removal. At this AMA, will you give us the definition of full set in preparation for Rewards 3.0?
Yeah.
Yes,
I mean, we had a lot of feedback on this, right? No? So the
correct.
one that we went with is a full set is the matching OG line with its matching old and younger cub.
Yep.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, that was the like overwhelming feedback from community here. Like that's what the set should be rather than just a generic set. So it makes it a bit more collectible,
Yep.
which is cool.
So
You
you
know,
need
so
to, yeah, you need to use your milk and juice in order to get that full set, obviously, on an OG line. And once you have all three, that's pretty much the full set that we're going with.
correct. Yeah, and if it's in somebody else's hands and they're diamond floors, then yeah, it's gonna be interesting trying to get that back.
Exactly.
All right. What's next?
We got a question from Advanced Al. So why do you guys hate us poor Europeans? Assuming it's because of the timing of the space, but I mean, this AMA will be recorded, so you'll be able to listen to it back. But um,
Oh,
yeah,
not that
we
we
don't
hate
no we don't hate anybody.
Europeans, it's that we love Americans. That's what it is.
That's the
No, I'm
love.
kidding. We're not. No one's playing favorites. It's uh yeah, really it just comes down to obviously like most of the audience, like community is.
Mm,
Um, it's from the US, but we do like change it up sometimes. We're also Sydney based as well, so aligning times isn't always the easiest thing, but it feels like this time is usually pretty good for everyone. It's a bit later in the day. Um, the US, it's a good time for us too. So
mhm.
yeah,
Yep. Got a question from North Shore. It'd be a bit of an in-depth question, it seems. So, can we give a status update and talk about some accomplishments since the last AMA and immediate plans in the coming days/weeks for each point in the strategy? Entertainment, sports and music, TV, film and publications, retail merchandise, rewards, raw token gaming, and metaverse, private island, community, and social media. Pretty much just touching all the points. Um, touching just a general update
yeah.
on all the points, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, some of the main focuses right now, obviously Rewards 3.0, that's going well. I was reviewing um, the interfaces for that. I think it looks really cool.
Yeah.
Um, so Rewards 3.0, and then dev work on that too. Raw token. So we've been speaking with like various like almost agencies on some that are obviously really well known. Um, and then like pretty much everyone's been really excited because I think they all understand the opportunity. And they all had the same kind of views on it. Like even if we were to sign up today, like none of them want to release their token right now, like that is not their advice at all. But that's fine because we can start working with them now, and we've just got a bit more time before we release the token, which is totally cool. We do want to make a decision on the partner that we go ahead with. We're looking to make that in like the next week or so. But that's like internal timeline. Like just like there are other things in play, like with legal as well, especially before we can make any like full announcements out there as like who we've chosen to go with. But we all know like how big the raw token, how important of a decision that is as well. So just make sure we do the right things. But those chats are going well, and the quotes that we receive and things like that. Um, the interim website as well. So yeah, we mentioned that there was going to be like a storytelling website, and this sort of ties in with the like advisory board slash, eventually like TV and like animation that we're working on, right? Because we have some story, we have characters in the universe already, like from the comic books, which a lot of people really enjoy the actual lore around that. Yeah, I think the the writers and the cartoonist did an amazing job on that as well. It's like,
Mhm.
if you haven't seen the comic book, I definitely recommend, go give it a read. It's called A Glitch in Time. Talks about obviously Glitch. the antagonist, and on his quest to stop the metaverse from happening. So that's really cool. But I bring that up because we're gonna, before we choose the right story writers, and everything else associated with that TV, if we created like a full-on website from now, that story might change a little bit. So we still wanted to do, obviously, create like a proper website that has all the right information. Has some storytelling elements as well, but we were like, if we throw a lot of budget towards it right now and then the story changes, then we're gonna have to rechange the website later on. Even though I don't think the story will change too much from what we've already been discussing internally. So that's why we've come up with the interim website. Um, so yeah, but that again, like the website's looking pretty good as well. So that's been worked on. Brand documents, like a brand portal, but not necessarily on the website, but like those documents are coming along. Hiring, we have it's like a tactical like calendar, like a marketing calendar, and there's a bunch of really good stuff on there, but we need resources. We need more people into the team. I posted about this on Twitter and on LinkedIn, and you haven't had a chance to reply to everyone who sent an email. Thank you. We're hopefully find the right person who's experienced and who's great at marketing and can join the team, and help us take some of those activations and put them out there in the world. And I think it's a really exciting opportunity. I'm glad we're in a position where we can bring in people into the team as well, and that's a position that we want to bring in relatively soon. We're thinking like a short-term contract, and then from there see how it goes. But that'll essentially allow us to do more like releases, like with from that calendar. The other thing that we've been exploring is ordinals. So there's been a bit of time into researching like what that could look like for Lazy Lions. We've got some pretty cool ideas, some that have been shot down by legal, which is is always the best part. Hey,
You come up with the best ideas, and then you go to legal, and they're like, "Oh, man, it's a
maybe
little bit
not,
of
yeah.
reaching." Yeah.
But that's another thing that we've been doing. We've been, speaking with some community members around that, and super appreciative of all the feedback that we've gotten there. I shared my views on this, like pretty much straight away. Bitcoin obviously isn't going anywhere. So by extension, ordinals aren't going anywhere as well. It's just we've got our focus. We're very clear on our focus. So anything that takes away from that, we have to be really careful. But this is something that we've been exploring. And yeah, so that's where it's at the moment. We've got some legal blockers where we're looking at ways that we can go around that, and potentially that could turn into like a product release.
Yep. Cool.
Cool. I think that's pretty much the majority. Hey.
Yeah, that's pretty much an update on everything that we have currently, being worked on. Great. Another question from Ruzi regarding Rewards 3.0. So, any integration between owning raw points and Twitter Spaces, whether it be hosting, attending, sharing community spaces, or attending, sharing team spaces. This was an interesting one. That's something that's pretty much similar to the first question that you would have asked. It's something that we can look at for the future, but not in the implementation of Rewards 3.0 currently. It's not in any of the user stories as Ash mentions for the first
I think
question.
Yeah, I do remember. I think it's potentially in the calendar. Like this was an idea that came up internally that we reviewed.
Yeah.
I have seen other like spaces, podcasts do this where they give out POAPs. I think there's like a more, I think there's one that's like relatively, infamous as well. That, was giving out POAPs to everyone. I don't know if I guess it just comes down to the, what you guys think as well. Like I'm a bit torn about this one. I don't know how valuable it is to get these. It could be a fun thing if it's tied into rewards as like badges for attending all the spaces. Like that could be pretty fun. And I think that isn't an idea that we've seen before. We had discussed this internally, but yeah, it didn't come out as like a user story that we wanted to put into into this release. But yeah, just I would love to get feedback on this from everybody, listening in as well. If you have any thoughts on this, if this is something that would, like be a fun thing to collect, for attending spaces, AMAs, and then it's showing up into rewards. It could be cool.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Maybe if you collect a certain amount, maybe you can burn them and get more points.
Always about the burn, hey.
Something fun about burning.
Um,
Tough to tie into points with
Might be
people.
tough to tie in points with people in different time. Yeah, the time zones thing. Yeah, I mean those questions about that we got earlier about us hating Europeans would be getting a lot more of those type of questions. Hey,
Yeah.
um, but I mean, hey, like that's it's just that's part of it. I don't know if that's necessarily something we should. There should be a blocker. Maybe there's a cooler way to go about it. Watching the recording potentially could still get you it, and maybe it's like a 24-hour thing. Um,
It's got his line in flames. That's nice.
but something to think about.
Yeah,
Cool.
perfect.
What's next?
We got a question from North Shore. So, how does OpenSea's new model of not enforcing creator royalties disrupt current
Mm.
plans? And are there other sources of income being considered, like creating a marketplace on the new website or something else entirely?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like there's a couple parts to this. Like,
Mm.
number one, like we were, and I messaged this out on Twitter as I had previously when the bear market hit as well.
Mm.
Like we've managed that war chest, and we made the necessary cuts when the first like economic crash happened. Um, we reduced our burn severely, in a good way. So that way, we didn't have these like this like big issue of like, hey, like we're running out of funds. And our burn is still really good, but obviously royalties was a big part of that. And like, there's no reason, I have like strong views on this. Like, there's no reason we should be giving these marketplaces like, Blur and OpenSea. Um, like, why should we just be giving that up for them, right? Like, these marketplaces really don't provide that much value, right? Like, sure, it's a platform that people have gotten used to on OpenSea, and and now, but you can see that with Blur. Like, that's why it was so easy to disrupt, right? Like, they didn't really have like a moat, like nobody really was loyal to OpenSea. Terrible customer service. I mean, like, this isn't just from us. We've seen Bored Apes and everybody else, and I hate to be like negative like this as well, but they've shown that they don't really care about creators, projects. They don't really care about the long term, impact of NFTs. That's super clear in their decisions, right? And what they're prioritizing. And they're all, they've all got their VC backed investors that they have to make sure that that's their top priority, of course. So maybe they're like their hands are sort of forced. But still, it doesn't mean that we should just go about that and be like, yeah, hey, you've removed royalties. Let's just continue sending our traffic, and everybody in the community towards your platforms. It's ridiculous because the marketplace isn't that hard to stand up. And we've obviously had people, um, we have had these marketplaces like these white labeled solutions. We've been in contacts with them. We could put it up pretty easily. Like there's one in particular that we're looking at that other projects have used that I think might be the winner here. Um, so like first off, views, yes, like we shouldn't be giving Blur, OpenSea, um, you know, like this edge. They're not helping the NFT space. They're not helping our mission. They're acting in their own best interests. Without the creators, they're nothing. Like no one's going to go on OpenSea if it isn't for the projects. The projects essentially direct all the traffic towards them. So, they shouldn't be getting any of that. In terms of like the business side, which is the revenue stream, obviously that's why we've got the entertainment uh, like angle that we're super focused on, and the revenue streams from there. Like long term, with obviously the merch, TV that we're all focused on. There are those things that like are the long term plays. But in the meantime, with the royalties, yes, like we should look at how do we, whether it is migrating to a new contract, which we're starting to see other projects do, and those migrations look pretty successful. That could be something that we do, and then we whitelist which marketplaces that we want to work with the contract. Yeah, that could very well be a solution that that we look at doing. Um, so long answer short. Sorry, because I am passionate about like the OpenSea and Blur stuff. But long story short, in terms of our war chest, we have that. We can still continue. There's no real big business disruptions, but yes, like revenue streams. That's why we're super focused on the entertainment angle. That's our long term. That's the value that we create. That's and the revenue streams that come with that. But we still shouldn't just give up royalties and allow Blur and OpenSea to take all that for themselves. That doesn't make sense either. So looking at a migration or something like that, that could very well be something that ends up happening.
Yep.
We've just got those other focuses right now, which are a bit more, which are high priority.
Mm-hmm. No, all great points. Okay,
Cool.
cool. We've got a question from Manu. So he's asking about the Collabland airdrop. Has it been considered by the team?
Yeah, I think we sent in a proposal, right now?
Yeah, so we've already submitted a proposal for it. They're in the process of reviewing the proposals. I know that they had like a bunch of them sent through. I think I saw 20 plus or so. But they're reviewing that up until the 9th. The claim is on the 10th. So we still got a couple of days before we're actually able to claim those, if our proposal is accepted, of course. But yeah, don't think there should be any issues there. But yes, to answer your question, we've submitted for Collabland.
Cool.
We've got a question from Eculion. Can we get new or updated infograph to easily share with others to tell them about the project? For me, it's been hard answering why should I join LL? What are they doing such building? Kind of telling them it's a work in progress. Rewards 3.0 is coming, art, community, but it's only going so far. Yes, so I guess part of this is the reason why we were focusing on a brand portal. We want to create assets that are easily accessible, by the community that they can easily share out. Like I said, and like we discussed, it's going to be a simple Google Drive with a whole bunch of different assets where you can just easily download and share to socials. I think that will solve a lot of the issues around being able to share graphics on socials and inform external community members about the project. So once that's built, we're going to obviously announce that, and you guys will be able to access those assets.
Cool.
Perfect. So we've got another question from Manu. Hey friends, I've owned 12 lines since August 2021, but I've recently had to transfer them to a new wallet for security reasons, and curious if that will affect my raw points or rewards accumulation. So to answer this question, the Rewards 3.0 system, the way that it's currently being built out, it's not like the original platform. You'll be able to connect multiple wallets to the platform. So if you have lines in different wallets, Cubs in different wallets, the way that it's set up and the way that it's being developed is you'll be able to connect multiple wallets and not have to store all your lines in one. So that won't
Yeah, and
affect
in
your.
terms of the previous points, yeah, I think we're still determining the best way for like the backdated
Backdated.
points now.
Yeah.
But whether that's I think the leading one was just like a simple support form, and then we can manually, like the team can manually review those ones.
Yeah. Perfect.
Cool.
Got a question from CryptoKenda. So what would the main uses for raw token be? A lot of communities are using them for raffles and games. Are we looking to do that as well, or are there other plans for the token?
It's still early in the development of that token, but we outlined a few things in terms on the vision map on how it could be used, whether that's through for licensing opportunities, future games, could even be integrated into rewards as well. But that'll be something we flesh out um, as we work with the partners on this. I mean, if you look at most ERC20 tokens, even the ones that are really successful right now, obviously like you can look at Ape and the use cases that has as well. I mean, the main thing is it's used in the DAO, right? And besides the DAO, it's had a few use cases here and there with merchandise, and
Correct.
um,
Yeah.
it was used as like a small part of their games as well. So yeah, it's one of those. We'll work with the partners, and whatever makes most sense, we'll use as part of that.
Cool.
But the idea is that the token will be like integral to like lazy lines. So essentially, whatever we do, whether it is similar to how AFC doing it, which is the right way for I think with ERC20 tokens, and that's why that's why it's where it's at. The various things that we do, like I mentioned, whether it's games or TV or licensing opportunities or whatever it may be, raw tokens should be integrated into all of those.
Yeah, perfect. Got a question from local crypto god. Are there any plans for NFT NYC? And if so, when could we expect dates? So
It's an interesting one. We should. Don't know if we've asked community on like who's actually attending this one because the feedback that we got on the last event, obviously Raw NYC was incredible, but the actual event itself was, I think, underwhelming for a lot of people. Eh?
yeah, the actual event itself wasn't the greatest.
Yeah. So, um, it's one of those things with the community. I think we just all got to have a chat. Like, where is everybody going to?
Mhm.
Where is everyone attending? And then we just, yeah, like see if it makes sense
Per
for
yeah, per the last
on
survey
what kind
that
of presence to be had.
we put out in terms of who was actually attending, there wasn't a large portion of community members attending as well. So that's
Mm.
definitely affects our decision. But as we get closer, maybe people have changed their minds, so it's probably rerunning some numbers. But yeah, we want to determine ROI at these events. Anything that sort of helps us, get closer to our vision and strategy map goals, will be taken into consideration. So if it's worth going there and there are opportunities there that we can, that we can take, then that'll definitely help our decisions.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, the biggest thing is obviously like with the community, like connecting with the community, having those kind of events, everybody meeting each other. Like that's the biggest ROI right there. So then,
Yep.
if community members aren't going to be there, that sort of diminishes, and then we have to look at ROI at different parts. And I think then it gets a lot harder to justify the ROI, right? Um,
Yep.
on going to these events, really. Like that was part of like NFT Paris. We are like, hey, we'll go there. There's gonna be people from entertainment. We can connect, but I mean, we're connecting over Zoom as it is. People know who Lazy Lions is, and if they don't, they can see like some of the accomplishments, and it's an exciting opportunity, and we just go from there. And then it's like, well, hey, um,
Yeah.
you know, going there to network with those individuals when we could just have a phone call instead of a 50-hour flight round trip. The
Exactly.
costs
Yeah.
associated with that, then it's probably worth it.
Seems more effective to do it that way.
Yeah.
Okay. I think well, that's all the questions. Just I'll double check the chat in case anybody else dropped anything in there.
Austin party was the best. Yeah, Austin was. That was a really fun time.
So there
Yeah,
are
South
some
by.
more questions that were asked today from
And it's probably
Pran's.
worth mentioning as well if anyone wants to come up
Oh
and
yeah,
ask questions, have a chat, feel free to request, and we'll start bringing people up from now.
for sure. Yeah, if anybody wants to come up, feel free to request. Otherwise, we'll just continue to go through some of the questions in the some new questions in the AMA channel. But
Mhm.
if you guys want to come up and chill, feel free to. Okay, let me just double check here. We've got a question from Prans. Is the project open to gaming project partnerships?
Uh, I'd say we're open to all kinds of partnerships. It depends on what the ROI is for the community, the project. But yeah, definitely things that we could investigate. It is if we could send that, send the collab form,
Hmm.
then the team can review from there.
Perfect. We also have Supreme Simba. When the Lazy Series 2 drop? So when's the next merch run essentially going to be?
Yeah, I mean the first one was really well received, right? I know Nine Wears is that hoodie, uh,
Yeah, I think
you
that's
know,
my favorite hoodie that we've
all the
posted.
pieces, yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're really cool, and it's awesome seeing all the photos on social media as well. Even though they're like limited runs, so that's been great. It's just we have those other priorities that we spoke about that we're currently working on, and with limited resources, we have to make sure that we're super focused. And there's just those other things that we think have higher ROI at the moment. So those merch drops not in the plans for Q2.
I think it makes sense as well as we develop more into down the entertainment route that we can start to shape our merch to match that. Um, match that style. Right now, it was a bit athleisure type wear, but we're just still
Hmm.
determining what type of merch we do want to create for the future, given the direction that we're going.
Yep.
Cool. Got a question from Uzi. Now that we know the ultimate goal as a LL collector of owning and holding a full set, OG matching, OG plus matching Cubs, will be incentivized on rewards as it should. Would a non-matching set be a lower tier booster for rewards? Trying to get all the questions out of me. But yes, there are things like holding a lazy line and a cub that will get you points. That will get you higher points than just owning a lazy lion, for example. So um, to answer your question, yes. Um, NFT community. Sorry, question from Rain. NFT community built platform by multiple communities that pays percentage back to projects would be cool. Interesting platform. Not so much a question, but sort of like a statement. But yeah, I can I can see that.
Mm.
Got a question from another question from Uzi actually. How are the team and entertainment industry advisors recruiting going? When should we expect the first announcement in this regard?
The chats have been going really well. I mean, everyone's been like super helpful. And they've almost like, to the point where we've had a lot of questions answered and then like direction, given on those certain things where, it became less of a priority to bring someone on, straight away. Um, we haven't made a decision yet on anyone like, hey, like this is someone we definitely want to bring in. We're still having chats with people, but like I mentioned, we don't want to rush, just in general, bringing anybody into the team. So it's something that we're still having chats with.
Cool. Will there be a full set role in Discord? Hmm.
Hmm.
Good question. I'd have to figure out if Collabland is able to do that because we use Collab to sort of verify different roles. But I'd have to check in with them. But sounds like a good idea. Woozy, I need more
It's
roles.
interesting. I mean, we have if it's going to be shown off on the rewards platform as well, we almost want to direct traffic there. And
Yeah.
everybody can, because that's going to be a pretty cool platform. I think, people are going to enjoy using that. It's going to be a fun user experience. Um, so, having that be the like go-to place for all these things, um, probably the way to go.
Yeah. Cool. I mean, if anybody, yeah, like we said, if anybody wants to come up, just have a general chat or ask any further questions, feel free to. We've got some time leading up to the end of the Discord AMA, so feel free to jump up. Otherwise, if you have any questions and feel free to ask it in the AMA channel. We can just keep going through them. I hope that answers some of the questions regarding rewards and a little bit how the points works with the full sets. But yeah, I think it's going to be super fun.
Mhm.
I think how everyone's going to connect and try and get specific badges. I think it's going to be a fun time. Okay. Can we do a collab space with Sketchy Ape Book Club? I mean, happy for them to, send through a request. I'm not too sure if you're in communication with them, but if they want to send me an email, I can drop my email in the chat. If you want to get through to them, they can send me an email and I can review the request. And if it makes sense, then we can get on. I think we're always open to like a lot of community spaces. I think they're good for us. So I
Mhm.
can see a lot of people typing. There's like two different locations that I got to keep the AMA channel and the Discord chat. LLPD will provide security. Cool. Well, I guess we have no more questions. Looks like we got Got a question from DJC. You've been in the space, Web3 space for a few years now. You've met a lot of people and founders from other projects. Curious who you lean on or consider in your inner circle to bounce ideas off and consult. I feel like there's a lot of people. Um, for us, for myself, and for yourself, Ash, I think it's like we speak to a lot of community members. Um,
Mm.
I know with the few directions that we've had, we've jumped on calls, multiple calls with a lot of community members just to share our thoughts. Um, I know you've spoken, myself as well, I've spoken to a few founders of projects. We've gotten them on spaces too. Um,
Yeah, I mean the biggest, the most value I get is from community members. Rather than and you get founders too. Like it's great, like bouncing ideas off, and then like we message, especially when like things happen. Curious to get like thoughts on how other people are handling certain things. Um, but I would say like I'm most interested in because I think like the unique views that I can get and like it's more relevant for us is just speaking with community members. Do quite a bit, I think. And I'm like super appreciative of everyone and like the time. And DJC, like you're one of them as well.
yeah,
Like definitely appreciate your time. And I think that's just been really helpful for us. I mean, if we think about it, like we're super focused on Lazy Lions, community members who are, who are part of the community. Then and in this, daily, they've got a good idea, I think, of um, on what's good, what's not so good for the brand, and then obviously like other team members who are working on it daily as well, and that's good for most parts. And then sometimes just speaking with other founders, particularly founders who are part of the community too, like obviously with Duck, he's he's in the community. He's also a co-founder, so it's great chatting with him as well as some other founders too.
yeah. I feel there's definitely a lot of value that we get from um, the community members, and even just creating like little groups and chats that you can have these discussions.
Hmm.
I know it's helped with rewards 3.0 as well, sort of shaping that out a little bit. So yeah, looks like Ash just got rugged, huh? Not too sure where he went, but we'll give him a couple minutes to jump back on. There we go. Maybe just got rugged there, Ash.
Yeah, there we go.
Welcome back.
No, that's the wrong thing. I broke myself. All right.
We got
I saw the answers to if taco is a sandwich, and I just had to leave. So very distressing.
do we have a timeline for rewards drop? Sorry if it was answered already. That's from BKD. Yes, it'll be coming in March, so this month. No
Later
specific
this
date set. Yeah, no specific date, but it'll be dropping in March.
month.
Later this month.
Yeah, so very soon. Yeah, I mentioned this as well. Like, I just was just approving the it was like the final UI. I think it looks really cool. I think the community is gonna like it. It's gonna be cool seeing these pages being shared out. So, um, and just overall, like the core value for this thing is yeah, it's a huge deal as well. Like the raw points.
Hmm.
Start accumulating raw points from now. The legacy backdated points as well. Yeah, I think it's gonna be a super cool thing. And then come time when raw token is released, everyone's gonna be cheering that they were accumulating these raw points. I would think so. That's the big value piece that we get, and then everything else on top of it is just the cream. I think.
Yep. Got a question from Wowzer. So was old rewards addressed? That going to
Oh
be
yeah, that's right.
sunsetted given the new marketplace fees? So we're thinking of, we have sort of one alternate way to sort of extend that a little bit. It's not concrete, of course, but we'll be making an announcement in terms of the next, steps for
Hmm.
rewards as we get closer to releasing the rewards platform. Um, so
Yeah,
yeah,
that's right. Yeah, but it's a great point. Yeah, I'm
it is.
not
Yeah.
sure if if this has been addressed because I know internally we've spoken about it, but obviously, now that royalties, pretty much next to zero, yeah, like the current rewards platform. like the way with the raffles that just realistically can't continue. But like I mentioned, we are looking at other ways to do, where there are still prizes distributed. But yeah, OpenSea and Blur, these marketplaces.
Yeah.
But I mean, look, that's what happens, right? Like, if we give them the chance to be able to screw projects, they will screw projects because they're focused on what they're focused on, and they have their own goals and they're investors, and they got a responsibility to do what's best in their interest.
Hmm.
You know, the issue I have, like I mentioned before, is that it's like a short term focus rather than long term focus. Um, the nice thing is there's an opportunity for like a new marketplace that is actually aligned with creators. And I think that that's, it'll be interesting to see what it looks like, what the landscape looks like as well, and some of the damage that these marketplaces have done. Um, because, now that it's going to force projects to move, it puts the power back to the projects, and then, there's no real value that these marketplaces provide after that.
Yeah.
Sad reacts, yeah.
Got a
It's a,
question.
it's a case of like, we've had this a little bit as, before as well. You got to listen to listen to the community,
Hmm.
and maybe, yeah, like not always, do everything that, everyone's screaming at, but like, there are some decisions where it's very obvious that it's probably not the right thing. And then there are ways to, maybe change and fix that. Can we use raw points to generate a cub instead of needing a milk or juice?
A roundhouse approach all the time, mate.
No, look, that's coded into the smart contract. So there have to be like some kind of wrapper or like middle thing. Someone could potentially create it, someone who wants to take your raw points or raw token in the future. But yeah, oh, sorry. So no, that would be possible with raw points because that's not like it's not an ERC20 token. But so like short answer, no, no.
Have you considered using the war chest to purchase another NFT project or Web2 or Web3 company startup that could be used to add value to the LL ecosystem,
to,
generate additional
to
revenue, sorry.
purchase. Yeah, I mean we have like it's come up, but I don't think like number one, like there's been nothing that makes sense considering the stage that we're at. And I think the higher ROI that we can get is building out the story of Lazy Lions. Those projects that we're currently working on as well. Like these things will take budget, of course, rewards. If we're looking at the animations, we're bringing on a growth marketer. We're
Hmm.
bringing on some other roles as well that we're looking at too. Yeah, these things I think right now are more valuable and they will lead us to revenue streams um, that I think are going to be a lot higher than bringing in than like purchasing other NFT projects or like Web3 companies kind of thing. When real life Kavana bar. That's an idea that's been floated as like another revenue stream.
Yeah, we're going to be selling Cabana bars moving forward,
Yeah,
guys.
with the private island, right? I think it's a very cool aspirational goal. It's fun thinking about what that could look like in the future, right? With the private island and seeing everything like in real life.
Yeah, I think there's been some thought around that. Have you guys thought about partnering with a resort slash private island for an annual Lazy Lions meetup slash vacation? Might be a pretty good partnership idea, and selfishly, I need a vacation to play pool volleyball with Woozy. I mean, I think I remember when we first launched, like it was like or like maybe like a month later, there was talks about buying a private island. Literally a month later, they're like, yeah, we get a private island.
Yeah, it
Didn't get
was.
it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the yeah. I mean, like
That's
realistically,
true.
the short term focus is right now, but
DJC remembers. Look, I don't know if it was promised, but we did float the idea. Yes, there's a question about backdated raw points.
yep.
So is backdated raw points just for people who minted, or also for folks who bought off secondary and still holding?
The second part.
Yes.
Yeah.
As you mentioned, Ash, that could be via a form to begin with, and then if development allows, then we can automatically backdate those. But yeah,
Yeah, I mean, it depends on how, we're going to be able to get a lot of data as it is and
yeah,
automate it straight off the bat. But yeah, for those edge cases, multiple wallets,
yeah,
transfers and things like that, there may be a need for a support form. Just comes down to how much we want to automate.
exactly.
Um, what's probably the best, most accurate way as well. So just some boring tech decisions.
Yeah,
But rewards has been awesome, right? Like we all know, like the impact that it's had on the project. I think it's been a really cool way to reward community members. So,
yeah,
like this
definitely.
next version, um, that's exciting, and it brings in the collector part of it as well. Sets up for raw token.
Yeah, I think it's something that the community had been asking for quite a while too. Wanting to collect points. Even if it's just leading up to raw token. So we can do that
Yeah.
now.
What age demographic will the entertainment project we're exploring be geared towards? Whether it's a movie, show? Yeah. So right now, like chats that we've had, and curious to get everyone's thoughts on this as well, is like tweens and up, like almost like Simpsons like Adventure Time, where like almost Rick and Morty a little bit as well. It's like adults can definitely appreciate the humor. And maybe Rick and Morty is a bit more on that other end, but like everyone can watch. Um,
Yeah, I'm curious to see what I guess the community thinks as well and where they see fit.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, very curious to see what the community thinks.
King Tusk asks, is it possible to just to build our own marketplace with royalties to support the community? Maybe a silly question, but definitely possible. Never a silly question, but
Yeah, not silly at all. It definitely is, and it's very easy to stand up. Like some of the one in particular that we're speaking to, we could get that up in a matter of days. And then it's just about the contract migration. And there are other like large projects who are doing this and who have done this. Um, so and they seem to be going really smooth. So yeah, it's not a huge deal to be able to do this over. We just want to make sure it's done right. And then that way you can force which marketplaces to use and those that are aligned with the project and that are actually beneficial for the long term, or just like our own marketplace that's official. That could be a way to go about it as well. And then there are cool things that we could tie in, like with the raw points. Like if you use the official marketplace, you get more raw points. Things that we wouldn't be able to do because these other marketplaces are taking fees and um, you know. Um, but with our own, we could do it differently. So definitely possible.
yeah. What has the journey and process of building Lazy Lions been like in year one versus year two, and how are you thinking about the future?
Yeah, the first, yeah, I mean, all in all, it's been super exciting.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like that's the way I see it. Like I look back and like, if I do look back, I mean, looking back right now, yeah, like I'm very fond about it. Like, obviously, like we went through like a major economic crash, like the first one since what, 2008, if you don't count, March 2020. So, that's also like it's just I still find that like obviously I don't not like in a sadistic kind of way, but like it's still all just like part of the experience, like a fun experience. Like I'm super grateful,
hmm,
always felt that super grateful to be in this position where we have this
of course.
this enormous opportunity. We've got this incredible community. We have like the base for what I think we can do some really really cool things together, and we're working on that. So like the first year, I think it was a lot of exploring. I think most projects out there in the space, like everyone was just sort of seeing, like, what is this thing? What could it morph into? The initial idea of these being, of the IP and it being like a new brand that's built together with the community, like that was there in the early stages, but it was like, what else could these things be? And people tried, like we've seen so many different types of profile photo projects being used in so many different ways. Even on like the B2B side, interesting enough. So there was a lot of more exploring. There was definitely a lot of like learning. Some things that we didn't do as well that we mentioned. um, that I think we're doing a lot better now, and that have been really helpful. And whereas like year two, now it's been, I would say like a lot more focused. Hey, like not as much, like we're still obviously experimenting, but like we've got like a very clear focus right now. Like our the OKRs internally, the goals, like everything's like a lot clearer. And I'm sure it'll just get even more clear as well as, um, once we start creating these animations and we put them out there and then we get feedback and once we venture into further into the entertainment space, whether it is with that TV and yeah, like all these things will just make it even more focused. So um, yeah, that's really how I see the 2 years.
Yeah.
We had a question. What happened with the Disney guy who reached out on LinkedIn? Any positive talks? Yeah, great. I mean, another Aussie dude, like supportive of the project, like he was just like, yeah, it's like it's incredible what's been achieved. Um, with Lazy Lions, and yeah, it was just super helpful. Not directly like responsible for like some of the key things that we're looking at, but he has contacts, and he was like, when the time is right, we can he can introduce us, and we can have those meetings. So yeah, it was good. It was really good. It's a bit early for those kind of talks just yet, and um, but yeah, it was super helpful. And like I mentioned, like that's how a lot of these a lot of these chats have been as well. Like,
Mm.
just jumping on those calls, getting a lot of questions answered then and there as well. Super, yeah, I definitely appreciate everyone's time, and yeah, it's just good to build out those contacts. When you're speaking to Web2 partners in the entertainment industry, what has been the general perception NFT's been? What do they know? I mean, we're speaking to like production companies right now. Yeah, obviously like studios. Like there are some that like do the whole like gambit almost. They have been like, someone there, at least the person that we're speaking to is like Web3-ish, like they're in the space. Um, and like they've been just they see the opportunity and they've been really excited. Um, yeah, for others like individuals that we've been, hitting up, like, producers in the entertainment space, like showrunners, so there have been a couple where like they haven't ventured into Web3 yet, but they're obviously switched on enough, and they looked at the numbers and they looked at the traction, and and even just the photos from like community as well, like what's been being built, and they see the opportunity there as well. Yeah, it's just a different like the way they've almost said it is, I don't want to butcher it, but like all these like different shows in the past have come from somewhere, right? Whether it's like a late night show or a comic book or whatever it is, and this is just a new form, right? Like Lazy Lions, its beginnings was um, with NFTs, right? But there's no reason it can't move into entertainment, and all those parts as well. The big difference is with NFTs, because they're on the blockchain, we can assign those IP rights, which we have, and then as part of the mission of the company is as we build out this brand, we can exploit that IP together, which I think is very, very exciting. Because then we can kickstart off new characters in the future as well, and there are opportunities for licensing and all these things. So yeah,
Yeah. I mean, all great points from the. I mean, from the talks that we've had, they definitely see the opportunity. We could say. Cool. I mean, but what's good, fellas? Sorry if already covered. Does rarity of the sets make a difference in amount of raw tokens earned? Right now, in terms of rarity, the full sets are all will earn the same amount of points. Um, so not at the current moment, but something we can explore in the future, if it makes sense. But
yeah.
yes,
Curious to get thoughts on this as well, because adding rarity then, like of course, like it adds complexity as well, like
yeah,
straight off the bat, because um, like there's a lot more math in it as well. It's almost like a balancing act too. I think it'd be one of those things where we'd have to be like updating, otherwise like certain things might become like imbalanced.
Yeah.
Um, and so like that's a challenge in itself. And also it's, like, what's part of, I'd be curious for everyone here, like what's the reason you do buy, um, you go for a rare item rather than like, let's say floor. I'd be curious to get everyone's thoughts on that. Is it partly because of like a flex? Is it partly because, you appreciate the art style a bit more? Is it a bit of both? Is it some other reason? I'd be curious as well because it's like it's already maybe it already has its like value, right? And we don't necessarily need to add raw points on top of that, and it may even take away from it as well. Like that's my main worry too. Yeah, curious on this one to get just thoughts from the community on like the wire crown, a lazy hat,
Yeah.
obviously the rarest piece of all the hoodies.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Okay.
Gotta pump those bags, man. You know how it is.
Yeah, I don't doubt that. Um, Also, if anyone wants to come up as well, I know we've hit the hour mark, but if anyone wants to come up, ask any questions, feel free to. We're happy to hang around.
Yeah, just got another
Uh, yeah.
meeting at 1:30, but otherwise,
There's a few other
I'm gonna prep for that a
questions.
little bit.
Kaiser asking about an Ordinals NFT collection for our Lions. Um, yeah. We mentioned earlier on in the call that we are currently exploring it, just exploring. Nothing sort of locked in right now, but yeah, something that we are looking at. But just being there are some discussions with legal that we just need to make sure is all good before we can go
Hmm.
down that route. What's the next planned deliverable after roll points, and are we still shooting for monthly deliverables? Yeah, so right now, in terms of the next deliverable, we obviously the website is the interim website is going to be launched. We have the rewards 3.0 coming out. Um, I believe we have a tactical calendar Ash that we've been working on that is looking at
Hmm.
deliverables um, very frequently, even more so than monthly. So um, yeah, those are the two things that are coming up right now.
Yeah, it'd be great to get this growth marketer on as well. Obviously, like that's a big. Yeah, we just need the right people in the team. Like we obviously do, but we need to expand the team.
Mhm.
So if someone's an excellent marketer and they've got experience at doing this and absolutely smashing goals. And would love to join the team. There's a lot of fun things, obviously, that we have planned, and it's really exciting opportunity. Right? I mean, so yeah, I don't have to obviously tell anyone in the community that, but yeah, so that's focused on bringing in that person.
Yeah. When Lioness, is that something the team might explore? Hmm.
We definitely haven't forgotten about
Yeah.
lionesses. I mean, we've like in all our chats with on the animation stuff. Yeah, that's like they're part of the characters. Um, I mean, it'd be a bit of a sad island, I think, if it was all just just the lions
Yeah.
and no one else. Um,
I think it's
would be an interesting story. So yeah, definitely like it's still front of mind. But it's just in terms of like the NFT collection itself,
timing.
we're just not the right time to release that. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. We're just waiting for the right time for that collection.
Yeah.
Cool. Just gonna check the AMA chat. In my opinion, one line equals one line. If you start differentiating between the same tier as part of rewards, it becomes messy. I think rarity is more of a collector interest. Yeah, yeah, that's a fair opinion. Um, I mean, all lions are, no lion's better than the other. Um, so we've always said that.
Yeah. Um,
Describe a day in the life of a lazy lions dev.
I don't. Yeah, I was just reading that. I don't think there are any 2 days that are the same.
Yeah,
Like I'm just thinking about like previous, um, even myself, like roles that I've had in the past, right? And it can get obviously a bit routine, which is nice as well. Um, because then you just like really get focused on like just getting better and better and better at that routine, right? And then that brings results. But this is very different.
yeah,
Yeah, I know for myself it's very different. I know nine for you, but I'm just thinking about everyone else in the team as well. Like um, it's just new challenges all the time, right?
yeah,
And while there's a bit of similarity, I mean, maybe on like the tech side, because you're dealing with the fee contracts, it's a little bit familiar. You're out, buckling my words here, right? But I would say, yeah, it's still very different day to day.
yeah. There are some things that have become very standardized, as you could expect. Like you've got your, obviously your BAU stuff that you're going to be doing regularly on a daily basis, but there are things that just come up unexpectedly, or something could happen in the space, and now, all of a sudden, you're in a call discussing some new opportunity that may have arisen, or the
Yeah,
marketplace changes, and now we've got to sort of, touch on that and think about what's the next steps for us. So there's always
correct.
something.
And yeah, that's from our side, but I'd say like in everybody else in the team as well. Like it's exciting because there's no two projects that are the same, right?
Yeah,
So it's different challenges. It keeps everyone on their toes, and it's fun to come up with like solutions to different and unique problems. It's not always just doing the same thing day after day, um, which I guess could be depending on who you are as a marketer or in general, could be fun, or it could get a bit boring after a while. So I would say like with this growth marketer, like if you're someone who's keen for like a new challenge and like um is passionate about NFTs as well, like that's the big thing, and passionate about community and involving community as part of that building, then I think it's gonna be an incredible time.
yeah.
Dev vlogs. We've seen other projects. I think Pudgy Penguins had one, but like the production quality was quite high. Um, with that, I don't know how much time, resources that would take.
Yeah.
And I've seen some others like do it as well, but um, yeah, it could be interesting, but it's definitely not top of mind at the moment. I think before we do that, we probably want to get into like regular like podcast like spaces kind of. I mean, we do have regular cadence right now, but maybe a bit more external focus before something like that because it's all got the same goal, I would think. But a fun one to think about for sure.
Yeah. Good question from Beholder Soon. Have they discussed potential marketing campaigns that would be launched after a series or movie was released? Do you anticipate some sort of collaboration to get it in front of larger scale audience with maybe influencers in the entertainment industry or commercials maybe?
I wouldn't say we're at that stage right now, like discussing like potential marketing campaigns like launched after a series or movies, not just yet. But like we're at the stages of like we've been speaking to which is like showrunners, producers, writers. Um, and like from our perspective, because these are guys who are like in the space, and also like the advice that we've gotten is like the space has changed. Just like with the NFTs, I mean the whole world has gone through like an economic crash that has affected a lot of these like streaming services as well, like who are the usual buyers. Um, and so, like what would have been picked up easily, maybe a year and a half, a year ago, it's a different market even for them too. So, just getting that feedback and understanding um, what they're looking for as well, and what like a pitch looks like, and what to include, and who to have. Um, like that's more at the stage that we're at the moment.
Yep. Got a question from King Tusk. Does the team see value in starting to do more YouTuber influencer interviews, plus other content? Um, I think this was one of the things that was one of the things that was high on the list in our
In the
tactical
calendar,
market. Yeah, correct.
yeah, that's right.
Definitely want to do more.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, because with the calendar, what we did was like, everybody in the team came up with like just brainstormed a bunch of ideas, and we went through together. This is earlier this week, actually. We just like ranked, put them in like what's the value to the community project, the impact, the costs, the time it takes, in our control, not our control, when we rank them. How does it? Obviously, they had to tie in with, you know, positioning Lazy Lions as an entertainment brand, right? As we move deeper and deeper with that as well, so they had to be aligned. And then we ranked them, put dates, aspirational dates, anyways. Um, and yeah, it's at a point where like strategically it's almost set. Um, we just need that tactical growth marketer to come and help bring these things to life as well. And so that the podcast slash with like more like notable guests as well, which we've done in the past, and they've always been really well received. Just members from the community too. So I think there's definitely value in that, right? Like that's what we had looked at it as a team, but there's a bit of work that goes into it.
Of course.
So that's why it's not as big of a priority as the other things. If we bring on more resources and we're able to do that, then yes, absolutely.
Mhm.
I would think it's gonna happen. Seems like Sandbox is a focus for a lot of communities at the moment. Are they launching something big soon? They've been they like the release date hasn't been communicated. Just I
Yeah.
guess it's like the simplest way to say it. It hasn't been communicated, and um, we've still been building. Obviously, with that, we've been sharing updates on what that looks like. I think the world looks really cool. I mentioned this before, like the first time you see like the private island. Just seeing it recreated in this different art form, right? This one happens to be voxel. I think it's really cool. And then we'll see it also in 2D animation as well, and that'll be really cool as well. And so, we're building out on that. We decided to do the avatars for so everyone in the community is going to be able to play as their character, depending on how Sandbox, what they release as well, because of course we're at the mercy of what they release, and if that functionality is going to be there. But the avatars, anyways, their designs are pretty much almost done.
Yeah. I think the recent ones that were completed were actually spoiler alert, but one-on-ones. And they look pretty cool. So
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, they do look pretty cool. Yeah, I think we've been leaking some of the
Yeah.
shots from Sandbox and Cabana Bar, and maybe there were some leaks in Sea Lion, so but I won't say.
Yeah, but in terms of when actual like Sandbox is actually going to release, we're not sure. Um,
Yeah, not sure.
okay, cool. I mean, if there's, I don't see any other questions in the image. Oh, with Burning Lions, we've had roughly 5,000 unique holders for over a year. Does it make sense, or would you consider adding a burning to Lions, 90% of the floor, for example? The Lions are just traded back and forth between wallets on a daily basis, while the Diamond Paws are holding the vast majority not listed. Do we need 10,000 highest tier? We can still grow the community
Hmm.
through lazy cubs and other drops from DJC. So
Yeah,
burning mechanic for lazy lions.
it's interesting, right? Because like the part that you mentioned, like, does it need to be 10,000? Not necessarily, right? Like, I don't, there's nothing super incredible about that number.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, of course, like burning these, like there isn't a burn functionality in the contract, but that could be something that we include in the migrated contract, right? Like that's part of the benefits of being able to, migrate to a new contract. We could introduce things like this because otherwise, all we're doing is we're sending them to a dead address, right? And it's like, yeah, it's like that's associated with burning. It depends on the marketplace, but they're not truly burnt. It's just the dead address owns them. Which I guess, for like all intents and purposes, yes. But I feel like some marketplaces still show them.
That's what I was going to,
So
yeah.
yeah, yeah, like a few little tech things to consider. But look, that'd be one of the benefits of migrating to a new contract. We could include that functionality, and also things like you know, obviously making sure it's legally compliant, but like soft staking almost. So could be a fun thing. Maybe we do look at doing the migration. It could be tied in with like a large burn event, rewards. Could be a really fun push potentially. Just get keen to see feedback on this though.
Yeah. Craziest idea you've ever received that was actually doable and you've considered. Hmm.
Hmm.
It's a tough one. We had some crazy ideas, but they weren't necessarily doable. Trying to
Yeah,
think
I
of
mean,
ones
on the
that are
private island thing, like you
that's the
should have
one.
seen some of my my DMs as well from like really passionate community members about this.
That's where my mind
And there
went.
was one who held quite a number of lines as well. Surely left the community when I was like, we can't announce that like that we're gonna build like some private island or something. Like that, like because he like I think he was at the point of here are the details, like here's an announcement that we could do, like just say it's like happening like later this year kind of thing. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know about that. Um, but in the like long term in the future, like later on, like that could be a really cool thing. But yeah, actually like doable right now that we've considered, tough question.
Yeah. Uzi, I know a new merch drop is not in the immediate future, but we need to wear the brand right. Will the team consider reaching out to culture factories and doing some collaborative merch drops? I see many other good projects like BAYC, Proof, and the latest Ring and collab with Meta Factory and Wear Aesthetics.
We definitely consider it. Yeah, I mean, we're some of the like production studios, like all in one kind of things. Like they have those links with like with more with like merchandise people that like are in the like entertainment space. And by entertainment, I mean like TV, like 2D cartoon TV animation, right? Like those kind of toys and things that you'd imagine. Like they have those links already. And I think that's more of what we're focused on at the moment. Like if you just think about like what would like the Lazy Lions toys look like? Um,
Yeah.
yeah, that's the kind of like merchandise um, that we're more focused on right now, more so than apparel. But we do have so it's like short answer, like definitely open to all those things. Um, just more focused on the other side of merchandise right now.
Yeah.
Do the Lions walk on 2 feet or 4 feet in Sandbox?
I should have said nine.
Yeah, I should have said nine.
Yeah.
Missed an opportunity there.
Missed one.
They walk on 2 feet. And they're all standing, right?
The sneaks.
If you look at the profile photos now, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're really good questions. Like, I appreciate everybody sending those in.
Yeah.
Um,
It definitely
a
helps.
lot of questions being asked in chat. Nobody wanted to come up and speak this time.
Yeah.
Maybe you scared them all off.
First time. Yeah. Maybe. Maybe. I'll just change my avatar to
Um,
glitch next time, and then maybe they'll come up. I'm sure they have a lot of questions for him.
yeah. Are you open to doing more random impromptu Discord AMAs, like 15, 20 minutes with the disc community, not necessarily scheduled like this, but hey, it's Tuesday, you got a burning idea. 10 a.m. you just, yeah, that would be really beneficial for us. Like I have had that, right? Where it's like, we have ideas, it'd be cool to just jump on. Obviously timing is a thing, right? Because if we're working throughout the day and then like, this is happening at like 4 or 5 p.m. I don't know what time that is it's a bit later on and I do know what time that is. Sorry, it's like more like what 12 a.m., 2 a.m. US. Um, bit later in the day. But I mean, everybody else around the world, yeah, could be fun to just do that. I mean, obviously with Twitter Spaces as well. Whenever we see community ones, we're free to try and join in. But yeah, seeing more lines using voice chat together, definitely encourage it. Yeah, I mean, we had like early on, obviously the voice chats are open. Anyone can join in.
Hmm. Yeah, I've been seeing that. I mean, that's a pretty good idea. Like, if we ever, if everyone just want to jump in, ask a question, get some feedback, quick, could be a way to do it.
Hmm.
Let's see.
Good question from Juice. And then maybe we ended off with this one.
Yeah.
Should we are a little bit over and just yeah appreciate everyone's time.
Oh, yeah. Yep. So So sorry if I missed this, but how will IP rights be tied into rewards? Have we considered charging a certain amount of reward tokens to be accepted to help with IP rights? For example, pay
Mhm.
5,000 rewards tokens to get into the comics or future cartoons. Split the profits with the unique holder of the lion and the project to help continue to grow, perhaps? Things of this sort. I think the idea of having chance or paying to get into comics slash IP project will push tremendous value towards the rewards token and help drive sales through people purchasing lines they think will fit
Mhm.
well in these sort of ideas. Thanks, and sorry if I missed this already.
Yeah, it's a great question, and like short answer, yes. Like that's we definitely we are considering that. Like that's one of the main ideas for the token as well. And I've spoken about this in previous AMAs, like spaces. Yeah, it's a great way to be able to go. Okay, we've got 10,000 lions, we've got cubs, bungalows. There are raw points slash raw tokens being distributed. Um, who gets the chance to join in on these shows, comics, because there are obviously limited spots. So, you've got limited spots, but, you've got, this very large community. And so how do we decide, who gets those spots? And I think, yeah, using the raw token, raw points could be like a fantastic way of doing that, right? Especially because we know that raw points are being rewarded to, members, community members who are, not just loyal community members, but who are doing things that are benefiting the brand overall and they're helping everybody, right? Because it's almost like brand advocacy to a point. So it's like those members who are doing those things do have multiple lines, have their profile photos set, diamond pools, have collected, are on Twitter, that kind of stuff, and they get more raw points. Then I think like as a community, we would all agree that yeah, they should probably have a bit more of a chance to get into the those like opportunities, right? I mean, obviously the IP opportunities are just like one part of it, but yeah, I think that could be like a great way of tackling that problem in a way that benefits the project as well. Because you're right, like it'll probably incentivize people to get more, collect more characters that they think would fit those cases, and also to get more raw points and raw token, which again helps the brand too. So yeah, it's a great question, and what I like about it is like that's it's one of the beauties of the blockchain, right? Like we're being able to like we're using this network, this decentralized, trustless system to be able to creatively tackle some of these problems. Um, so yeah, no, great question. Great questions overall.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's been really fun. As always, I always enjoy these like Discord AMAs. It's a bit different if this is your first one joining in. Um, I'll say the difference between this and Twitter Spaces, obviously this is just all with community members. It's locked to Lazy Lions members, so it's a bit more of a like a smaller, intimate audience compared to like a Twitter Space. But yeah, the fun part is it's all community. So
yeah,
just have a really raw chat.
yeah. No, this was great. A lot of great questions. I'm glad we could answer them too. And I guess looking forward to the next AMA. I'll quickly answer Nick Nice's question. So bungalow is just a multiplier on the points. So yeah, just quickly.
Yeah, I don't think
Yeah,
we have the matching set just yet. Eh? Like that's not part of
yeah, correct.
the
And
the math. Eh? Yeah,
okay.
cool. Awesome. Well,
That's it.
Naim, what do you think? Wrap it
Um,
up here?
yeah, awesome. Kings and Queens, thank you for joining in. It's always great to have these intimate chats. Definitely a different experience to the Twitter Spaces. But yeah, that was great. Appreciate everyone that tuned in.
Absolutely. And anyone who was offended, I'm not going to apologize. The taco is a sandwich. We're going to stand by that. And no, seriously, no. Thank you so much for everyone attending. Always appreciate everyone's time and sending in those questions as well. Have a fantastic weekend, everyone.
Enjoy. Thanks, guys.